Welcome back to the attic, where the clocks don't always tick in time, and strong tea is considered a performance enhancer. I'm Marco Ramius, and today we're cracking open an idea that's as sideways as my childhood sock drawer. You might have heard the phrase tilting at windmills. Usually it's about chasing imaginary battles or, I don't know, refusing to accept the status quo because you think there's a giant out there when everyone else just sees spinning sails. Well, sometimes one of those windmills actually is a giant, and every now and then the person shaking their fist at the air is the only one who can see it. So, this is the story, maybe even the evolutionary story, of people who just don't quite fit. The pushers, the wanderers, the folks whose thoughts squiggle at odd angles while everyone else is marching in line. Society calls them misfits, sure, but evolution? Evolution sometimes treats these people as reluctant scouts, testing out directions the rest of us would never think to go. There's even a name for this. Well, there is now. I'm calling it the windmill function. It's this sort of hidden evolutionary job played by a quirky minority, often neurodivergent, often called mad or disruptive, whose seemingly pointless or awkward behaviours end up being utterly vital when circumstances turn sideways. Right, let me put it another way. Imagine a group where everyone is busy following the rules. There's always that one person who can't help but poke the boundaries, take odd risks, or ask why the rules exist in the first place. Most of the time, they look like they're wasting everyone's time, until everything changes, and suddenly, the only person with a map is the one who wandered off the trail. Now I have to share this little attic experiment. I once tried measuring time with a skipping rope. Not to be poetic, honestly, I'd just misplaced every functioning clock. Nobody took it seriously, obviously. Not till a thunderstorm fried the electric, and that skipping rope's rhythm became the only way anyone in the house knew when to swap the kettle for the teapot. Seemed strange, maybe pointless beforehand, but then it was the only system still working. There's a metaphor in there somewhere, probably involving socks. Here's the twist. These so-called odd or even maladaptive traits, like distractibility, being drawn to novelty, or flipping between tasks, actually made perfect sense for our ancestors. This is called evolutionary mismatch theory, and I'm bound to tangle the details, but the core idea is that the traits which frustrate teachers or bosses today might have been prize-winning features back when our survival depended on spotting tigers or edible mushrooms before anyone else did. Think about it. Being hyper-alert, a little too easily distracted, that helped you notice the subtle snap of a twig or the glint of water when the tribe was dying of thirst. The kid who couldn't sit still? Maybe they were the one who found the new hunting ground when the well ran dry. Quick shifts of focus, an itch for the unknown, all of that probably made you, well, kind of a legend around the prehistoric campfire. But dump those same traits into a world of digital spreadsheets and bell schedules, suddenly it's called a problem. I mean, isn't that more a flaw in the frame of society than in the person? If the environment changes, the value of those traits can flip right back around. Now, here's the bit that feels counterintuitive. Even risky types that disrupt the group get selected for, evolutionarily. Studies show that teams or social groups that mix in risk takers, divergent thinkers, the ones a bit left of centre, actually do better when the world gets squirrely. Why? Because these oddballs are basically hedging the bet for the whole group, stretching the behavioural range further than any set of rules would allow. Sometimes, one of them stumbles onto the path nobody else could see, and there's more. Populations descended from the folks who actually left home, who migrated, adapted, and braved the unknown, tend to show more of these so-called divergent traits today. It's as if the genes that made your great-great-great-grandparent hike over the next hill are still with us, echoing every time you find yourself Googling flights to countries you can't spell. Interestingly, I'm definitely guilty of that more than once. All right, let's dust off an old book. Don Quixote tilts at windmills, right? He's the classic madman, the fool fighting imaginary giants while everyone else has a good laugh. But what if we've had the story backwards all along? What if the giants really are there, just mostly invisible, except to the ones standing at the margins, squinting at the nonsense everyone else ignores? That flips the script on how we view neurodivergence, doesn't it? Maybe it's not delusion, but a kind of early detection. Not a bizarre error, but a necessary push away from the ordinary. Not a pathology, but, how should I put this? Pattern breaking. Sometimes society desperately needs someone who can spot danger or opportunity before anyone else has even noticed a change. History is littered with people at the edge. Scientists who broke the rules until the rules broke for them. Artists who changed how we see the world. Dissidents who were punished for questioning the status quo until suddenly everyone saw what they saw. These misfits end up marking the trail for the rest of us. And honestly, at the edge is where possibility starts, even if everyone's convinced you'll fall off. So here's the million cup of tea question. If we're in an era of wild change, ecological instability, technological unravelling, you name it, don't we need more room, not less, for the windmill riders? If we only prize conformity, it's like putting all our eggs in one deeply average basket. But when the map tears or the storm hits, it's usually someone on the edge who spots the gap first. Maybe, just maybe, survival depends on letting more voices question, poke, and occasionally measure time with skipping ropes. I've gone off on a bit of a tangent, haven't I? Happens up here in the attic. But that's probably a good stopping point for today. So if you're the windmill tilter in your own little village, keep tilting. One day, it might turn out the world needed your peculiar angle after all. Until next time, put the kettle on and don't trust every working clock.